Hey superstars, welcome to the Get Rich Without Being a Bitch podcast, and I am your host Vanessa Shaw for this journey. We're going to be challenging some stereotypes, shattering glass ceilings, really looking at what it takes to live richly and to design a business that's going to support the life that you really want to be living. I'm going to be sharing lots of tips, tools, and strategies along the way, and I can't wait for you to join me on this journey. Hey superstars, welcome back to another episode of Get Rich Without Being a Bitch. And I'm Vanessa Shaw, your host for this conversation that we're going to be having. In fact, we're going to be having a series of conversations, and they are all directed to women who are running their own law firms. The reason being, we've been niching down over the last couple of years, and we work now exclusively with women-owned law firms in our main flagship program. And I figured it really made sense for me to kind of pull the curtain back, right, and share with you some of the core concepts, key frameworks that our women-owned law firms are using to take their firm to the next level. So think of this as like a little mini training series. I really hope you're going to enjoy what you're going to be hearing. As always, remember to, comment, like, share this with other women that are running their firms too. Because we just love to have you as part of the community. So I'm going to go right back to kind of one of the fundamental shifts that women need to make if they really want to take their firm to the next level. There's mindset and frankly, there's strategy in this shift. And I call this the CEO shift. And it really is foundational. And if you don't make that shift, you're going to find yourself constantly buried in work, caseload, admin work, everything stops and starts with you. You're the biggest bottleneck of the business, right? You're bringing in the work, you're doing the work, you're probably managing others. Sometimes my clients call it babysitting their team members. And it's really because you actually haven't made that foundational shift first. And this is about stepping away from being the practicing attorney and becoming the CEO, the visionary CEO, if you like, of your firm. Now, let me just clarify a couple of things here. You don't have to step completely away from your clients and casework. Many, in fact, of our clients, once they embrace this shift of, they could be doing things differently, what they're really doing there is they're cherry picking the clients and the cases that they want to work on. And they're taking perhaps the more complex, right? What they would call the juicier cases, the bigger things that have got lots and lots of moving parts. So you don't have to move away completely from practicing law, but you certainly need to create some space, time, and energy so that you can grow your firm. So I hope that makes sense. Now, the reality is we have some of our women as well that are like, Vanessa, I'm done with the lawyering. I really love the leading piece. I love the business side of the firm, and I'm going to move fully into that role. You get to decide, right, the percentage of work that you still want to be doing. But it is essential. If you don't make that shift into really leading your firm, you're always going to be stuck practicing law. And more importantly, you've probably become an employee in your own business, right? Yes, you went into this for freedom and flexibility and hopefully better clients. And then several years in, you find that you're really an employee. Your calendar is completely jam-packed. All of the clients come to you. You're answering all of the questions. And now you're stuck. Now, part of that shift as well that can be a little bit tricky is, and I get it, right? I've been in business for myself for 20 years. It takes a lot of work and effort to get a business off the ground, to get a law firm off the ground. And we get it to a place where finally, we've got a full roster of clients. And perhaps you're even at the point where, yes, you'd like to be paying yourself more, but you're actually quite happy even with what the firm is currently paying you. And that's part of that stuckness, right, of where we have to make the shift, because that's where I call this like the golden handcuffs. It feels like you've put in all of that effort, you're worried about changing things, and possibly the financials aren't too bad. Although I'm going to tell you that honestly, behind the scenes, I would say that 95% of the women that we work with want to be paying themselves considerably more than they are right now. They really want to be charging what their services are worth, what their expertise is worth, right? And have that reflection back to them through the amount that their firm is paying them. So making that shift, it is a shift in role, if you like. It's going to mean that you would be doing different things as a CEO. So instead of just practicing law, you're now visioning, creating the vision and the direction of what you want the future of the firm to look like. And I remember when this landed as a kind of like an aha with a client that we were working with. She was an estate planning attorney out of Colorado. She loved the visioning work. And you know what? It was so interesting. She felt guilty for doing it because she was really good at it and she loved it and she found it highly creative. And because it felt so good, she almost felt like she shouldn't be doing it. And it was such an aha moment when she kind of shifted her mindset to be, no, I do want to be the CEO of my firm. I don't want to be doing all of the lawyering and all of the work. And then the excitement of when she was like, wow, and this gets to be a part of my role and responsibility. I'm like, absolutely it does. Like, isn't that fun? Like, it's really fun. So again, vision is going to be part of that role and responsibility. Team, right? Hiring team, finding really great rock stars to work in your firm. Because again, if you're doing everything, you'll never ever have the time and the breathing space. And you are probably already doing 60+ hour work weeks. So we've got to have some team so that you're building that business that is bigger than you. And this is frankly where that firm can start to become more profitable, more enjoyable, and most definitely more sustainable, because you're not going to feel like you're run ragged the whole time, that your firm is running you instead of you running it, right? So team is going to be a big part of that. Having structures in place and systems, right? The minute we start to think about teams, team building, adding more people, getting better quality staff, we've got to think about the systems and structures, right? Again, otherwise everything's going to get so scattered. And that's going to be part of that visioning of that CEO role. And I think really importantly as well, there's two other points I really want to make here is you're going to be running now your firm, your business of law by using metrics. So again, part of your responsibility is going to be to look at the data. What are the numbers telling you, right? How many clients do you need to be getting, for example, to really take your firm to the next level, right? This is the running it by data and understanding those metrics so that your firm growth also becomes more sustainable. And again, an associate attorney is not going to be doing that for you. Frankly, that's the reason they're an associate, right? These are skill sets that you have to build, not somebody else. And we certainly don't want to be abdicating responsibility for those things. And then I think the last element, which is so often ignored or undervalued, is having what I call white space on your calendar. You should not be priding yourself with being back to back to back between client work, teamwork, running your personal life, all of these other things. As the CEO, it's so important that you've actually got white space so that you can get creative, that you can strategize, you can do that visioning work, you can set the goals. You, of course, are going to be responsible for some implementation. So some of that white space we refer to as CEO time, right? CEO space on your calendar so that you've got the time to actually work on the business, not just in it. Now, how do you know when you've actually made the shift? Because there's going to be some behavioral changes here so that you can really start to see when you're making that difference. And I'm going to say it's fairly normal as well to be in and out, right? Of course, you're not giving up your day job of being an attorney overnight. That would not be a good thing to do. So there's going to be a transitional phase. But how to see when you're making the shift is when you start to see, you look back over your calendar and you can see, oh, I had dedicated time to actually work on growing the firm. I am now leading the team meetings with clear agendas, clear intentions, clear goals, right? Clear what we call KPIs, key performance indicators, right? You're leading the team. You're not just managing and babysitting. And I can tell you, when you've really made the shift, you'll find that your enjoyment levels considerably increase as well. That's probably the number one thing that we hear from our women owners. They're like, oh my God, like this is so fun. I'm energized again. I'm loving the few cases that I'm working on. I'm way better paid. I've got a team that I can trust, that I've developed as well, developed in their skill sets, developed to deliver the product and the quality of work that meets the standards of your firm. And like, I'm enjoying it again. Like, this is fun and energizing. So I really want you to think about this for today. Is like, where are you in your CEO shift? Are you seeing yourself just as an attorney, right, who is employed by your firm and you're doing all of the things? Do you want to become that leader so that you're tapping into your vision? Do you have a desire for growth, right? Really tapping into that. And if you've got that desire for growth, how are you nurturing it? How are you giving it some time and energy and space that it actually deserves? So I hope you've enjoyed this episode today. This is the first step that you have to make. It's like shifting that mindset of really owning that you want to be the leader in your firm, not the lawyer. I can't wait to hear from you.